This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. So this has been popping up in a few different places. I remember seeing that in the Matteo Assato video in the room with Rick Beato. In that video, Matteo was talking quite positively about the impact the internet had had on making himself, who I think comes from Palermo in Italy, like a small village, and Matteo Assato able to essentially create careers where before there wasn't necessarily a lot of opportunities. Of course, since you're watching this video, you could probably guess that, I don't know, I was like a gigging musician in around this area, you know, playing weddings, functions and that sort of stuff. The occasional jazz gig. I definitely reach more people via YouTube than I could via that other method, or the original music scene, which I kind of stepped out of about sort of 10 years ago. But today I wanted to do a video kind of looking at this idea of original music specifically because selfishly I decided to kind of release a track out of nowhere that I wrote about 10 years ago. It's called If You Stay. Now, if you're interested in me specifically doing original music, I think it's a fairly, you know, starts off as a selfish thing, right, with no value whatsoever. Totally useless, like most of what I do. However, if you like it, that's where kind of maybe you find that a thing is better for existing than not. So this is my way of participating and seeing where that leads, if anywhere. So a tune that I wrote, If You Stay, I've put it up on Bandcamp, which will be linked below. You can pay zero money for it if you want, or you can pay some money towards it. And I guess this is kind of my first experiment, well, not my first, but experiment looking again at maybe, you know, see if people really do actually want original music from me. Because I think as someone who is, you know, on a daily basis improvising music, and a lot of people apparently like to watch that stuff. Some people skip it and go straight to the talking. Some people only watch the music stuff and go somewhere else after that, but you know, I've just wanted to put out something that wasn't necessarily all improvised, although there is a first take solo at the end there. So that was, yeah, I was about to send the track to my buddy Jake Loosemore, and it didn't have a solo at the end, so I kind of thought, right, let's just improvise something quickly. And yeah, in the interview, Matteo Mancuso was talking about essentially that the role of being a live musician, or a real musician, sort of in quotes, and a content creator are kind of separate things. Now, kind of, but actually not really. So even, you know, most of the huge pop stars in the world are still having to do lots of other stuff except for just play live music and just record live music. And I've said this in a video before, in terms of actually getting to play music, there's nothing that I could do that would be getting me actually playing more music than what I've managed to force my channel to be, if that makes sense. I basically make a video around this idea that every single day I want to improvise a piece of music and kind of sort of polish that turd and create it into like a 3 minute, maybe 2 minute, maybe a bit longer sometimes when I feel it, piece of music which kind of is just where I was that day, if that makes sense. And this was also kind of the thing that I used to keep in mind when doing our original music and stuff, because what actually happens in the original music scene is that you kind of sit on stuff for so long and you second guess all sorts of stuff, and basically what happens is you kind of lose a lot of momentum, because instead of it just being this creative thing that leaves essentially once it's done, basically you come back to it and you keep, asking other people's opinions on it. Sometimes people will tell you that it's not good enough. Sometimes people will say, well, what if we tweaked this bit and this bit? Sometimes of course, that might end up being a much better thing. But I think for my experience and in the bands that I've been in, what it actually meant was that we just did nothing for quite a long time and maybe never. So there was a band called Ceasefire that basically disbanded. We had material. There'd been loads of material. There was like 30, 40 songs, like really good stuff, some of it I think, that was there from before I was in the band even, and that kind of just sat there. And for me it's kind of like a shame to think that that's kind of no one heard it. There's like a particular song that comes to mind called Riptide that we used to play live, and I really enjoyed playing that song. Again, I didn't have much to do with it. It was already written by the time I got to the band. We sort of just rejigged a few things. That's kind of what I like about the YouTube thing, is that essentially I can let the thing go and it won't be perfect. I don't second guess it. It's kind of just what my playing was like that day. And I think there's some sort of, I don't think it's value to it. It's just that it's at least is a thing for a minute that some people somewhere will enjoy. I don't actually think that live musicians and content creators need to be separate, or real musicians and content creators. I think actually some of my favourite people on YouTube are both. Like Tom Bukovac, you can't really say he's not a real musician. He does still find the time to make videos. Jonathan Kreisberg on his format, I think, is it called Flat 5, finds time to be both an incredible jazz musician and create this kind of educational stuff. Leon Todd, is balancing being on YouTube as well as going and touring the thing in his band Ragdoll. Like, I think you can do both. Alan Hines, amazing player, amazing teacher, and has a really kind of cool, interesting way of doing some YouTube stuff, just kind of him talking to camera and stuff. So I think there's room for both. You can be both. And I've got another video that I've kind of just held back on actually releasing, but it's this idea that it's kind of okay to be on YouTube is kind of what I've come to decide, that is sort of a decision and a process where the term YouTuber, the term YouTube guitarist, I don't really like that as a label, except that I've kind of learned that it just means that you're using that platform to do whatever you're doing, and maybe some people like what you do, maybe some people won't, but ultimately it's just a thing that if you build enough of an audience, will kind of help pay for your creativity, or find a way to monetize things that are creative. And that is essentially what live music is anyway, right? It's just kind of trying to find a way to make creativity, turn that into money. That's what recorded music is about, is trying to capture what once was a live entity, boil it down onto some sellable piece of material initially, right? And then now it's digital, and find a way to monetize a thing which used to just happen in a space. Kind of, if you think about all of this stuff too much, you disappear inside your own stuff. But anyway, yeah, that was just some thoughts that I had that really mean nothing. All that to say, yeah, there's a piece of my original music out there if you want it. I have been on Spotify and all that stuff for ages, but I think without a PR company and without saying it in every other video, maybe you would never find this stuff. So if you are looking for this from me, it does exist. I don't know, if you want to hear more of it, let me know. And if you don't, that's also fine. I'm going to carry on doing my thing where improvising, playing guitar each day is what I want to do. So that's what I'm going to do most of. But in case people were looking for this kind of finished product stuff, then maybe let me know, because I have been listening to a little bit of Brett Garcia as well, and you think like I'm glad that people out there are still making albums, if you get what I mean. I listened to Matteo Mancuso's The Journey in the car the other day, and there's some really cool moments. When I hear original music, I think it's a cool thing, so this is just my little way of participating. So head over to Bandcamp if you want. Do you think original music still matters? Let me know in the comments.